Did y'all miss us as much as we have missed y'all? And are you ready to catch up on what you may have missed in season six? Hopefully, you had perfect attendance, but if you didn't, are you ready? And most importantly, are you ready for Brokish season seven? Because that's what we about to talk about after the break. Hello, hello, everybody. It's so good to be back. I am Amber.
And I'm Erica.
And we are kicking off season bump 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 because Erica's sound effects are bootleg. I'll just do my own bump 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 bump. Season seven of Brokish. Welcome.
But you know what is not bootleg apparently is my memory because I knew it was season 7. Y'all, right before we
Ooh,
came on here,
ooh.
Amber, we were talking about what she was gonna say to kick things off, and Amber's like, and y'all ready for season 10? And I'm like, Amber, we have not had 10 seasons, dear. We did 6. And so 7 is the next one. But anyway, we're all good now. Everybody's on one
Y'all know a
accord.
lot of times when you're in traumatic relationships, it can feel a lot longer than it actually
Oh,
is. And so,
wow.
it has felt like 10 seasons, because that's a lot of times what happens when you're in traumatic relationships. So
Amber,
don't
let me
worry,
just
I'm
say this.
fine.
So y'all know that Brokish comes out on the 1st and the 15th. So our last show was June 15th. So we've been on break since June 15th. And on the one hand, Amber, I feel guilty about breaks. I feel like, we lose momentum. What about our listeners, our viewers? Are they going to come back, still rock with us after we get back? So I feel very guilty, but let me just say, it was a delicious break. I was so glad to just have a pause.
What you do, girl? Tell the peoples what you've been doing, because I ain't never heard nobody describe their break as delicious. So we need to know, how do you have a delicious break? Tell us. Teach us.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'll start off by saying that, y'all, this is where I feel conflicted because we are very much still in the middle of a pandemic, right? We have all these things going on, monkeypox and polio and all this other kind of stuff. So the health crisis in the world is real. But I'm going to tell y'all, I went on vacation. So the first thing I did pretty much after the break, so at the end of June, the whole family went on a vacation. And when the whole family goes, I usually call it a family trip because I believe that when you take your children, it's not a vacation.
Amen.
Because people waking up, what are we gonna eat? And oh, what are we gonna do? And people just can't sit out by the beach and soak up the sun and they have to have activities. So anyway,
Hmm.
we went on a family trip. And it was very lovely. We went somewhere we had never been before, so it was new to everybody, and just taking everything in and just being away and
Yeah.
all it was all inclusive. So the drinks keep coming and
Yes.
the
Amen.
the food is, whenever you want it, it's there in the room service, and it was delightful. Okay,
That's
Amber.
it's nice to see things through your kids' eyes when they haven't done it before. That is an exciting thing to do. I get that.
And I wasn't even looking at it, but thank yes, that the type of mother I am, I was seeing it through my children's eyes. That's what it was. It was beautiful. And then when we go on vacation lately, when we come home, the first thing I do is y'all take y'all shoes off and I'm gonna swab everybody, right? I'm swabbing everybody. So everybody's in line getting their swab. Child, before I can turn my back, the man's COVID test.
It's
Okay,
blanket. Yeah. Oh,
Amber. So child, the man got COVID. Then we just, we kick into high gear, right? So we're like, okay, what's the isolation plan? We got to get him somewhere. We got to, do all things,
yes.
all this, right? And we just fresh from the vacation. We fresh from the high. And then this is what happened. So we get him, put away and we get him, with his, making sure we're getting him his stuff and all this other kind of stuff. Then, so of course, the next day I do it again. I got my COVID test from the government. So then the next day I'm coming through and I'm swabbing everybody. Child, I light up, right? The vacation was too delicious, so you know I was gonna get it, right? So here I am, and I'm all the next day, then I'm lit up. So then I'm like, okay, then I gotta isolate myself from him, from them, from anyway, it was a whole mess, child. By the end of it, three of the four of us had COVID, probably because one of us had it earlier. But this was
Yeah.
our first time, right? We hadn't had COVID before.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just a mess. Like mine was relatively fine. His was more severe than mine was. But just the fatigue was the thing for me. Like just like not feeling. And that took probably a week and a half for me to get back to feeling like myself.
Yeah.
And also to stop testing positive. So it was quite a while. So for the 4th of July, child, we were on the front porch looking at the fireworks because everybody had
Oh.
yeah.
Hmm.
Anyway.
But you know what? What the devil meant for evil, God turned it around. Turned it around. Because you had a part two of this delicious summer. So tell us about the part two of the delicious summer.
So then, we had other little things happening. Like, I have a new nephew, not new as in baby, but new to our family nephew. Black people, the stories.
Yes.
Anyway,
Yes.
so I had a new nephew to my little family. So he came and stayed with us. And that's interesting because he's from Malawi and he's only been living in the US for a year. And so it's
Oh.
just interesting. Everything is like new to him. So you talk about seeing new things through your children. I really was able to see that from him because a lot of things he's just never experienced before.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so um like I was taking them. Don't ask me what the name of it was. I don't want to admit to certain things, Amber. So don't put me out there like that, okay?
Don't mind my
Because I
black
know
owned
you'll do
business.
that. Don't put me
I
out
would
there like
never.
that. But anyway,
Mm-mm.
I was I was taking the kids to this little summer camp, and it's like it has water slides and it's fun. The kids like it, but they have it at the church. Okay.
Ah!
So don't say nothing to me, Amber. Don't say nothing to me.
Tuck it in my back pocket. Go ahead, boo. Go
So
ahead.
they
Go
have it
ahead.
at the
Go
church, right?
ahead.
But churches in 2022 don't look like churches, in 2000. Right. So it was funny because I was talking to him one day and I was like, well, how did you like the church? And he was looking at me. He was like, church? What are you talking about? I was like, well, the place where the summer camp is. He was like, that's a church.
That baby said
He
we've
was
been at the
like,
club.
he was like, church? Girl, I don't know what you're talking about, girl. And so the boy did not believe me, Amber. Like the next day we showed up, I had to show him where it said church on the sign because he was like, this is because he asked me, he said, well, if it's a church, how does it have a basketball gym? And I was like, sir, and just wouldn't believe little 10-year-old. How he anyway. So that was fun because we got to spend more time with him and see what he was up to and all that kind of stuff. And then in the middle of all this, child, I got me a teenager, Amber. Oh,
Yes.
girl,
Yes.
I done got me a
Master
teenager.
stylist, teenager, musician. I love
Girl,
it. I love it.
girl. So yes, y'all, I'm old clearly because I got me a whole teenager working over here. Look, she done messed around and got a summer job.
Come
She
on, Eden. Come
I'm
on.
like, and so
Yes.
I'm over here. I got a whole teenager that's working and doing things, and I don't know what all of that means. But anyway, that was fun. So for her
And I
birthday, we
saw
got
her
to.
yesterday, y'all. Her little manicure was popping. I was like, girl, that's a cute little manicure you got on
No,
your finger.
her manicure is like 3 weeks old. The baby, I need to take the baby back, but she doesn't want to pay for it. So what do you think, Amber? Do you think we're brokish around here, right? Like, do you
Mm-hmm.
think I should pay for a manicure for a 13-year-old when I don't do that for myself?
I mean, listen, you gave me a little crap yesterday when I saw you about my son having a job during the school year because I told you I had to drop him off. So I am on that train completely. My son tries to live his best. I call him I'll be sure not, because he's a little light skinned. And he be out here trying to live his best life. And I'm like, well, you gonna have to bring in some income because you have very expensive taste for a broke joker. So he is the newest team member at your favorite Bullseye store. And
Look at that.
yes, yes, working, because I do believe that certain things that are not housed in the necessities category, there's nothing wrong with the children paying for that themselves. Nothing wrong.
So you think she should be paying for these things herself?
Yes,
Is
especially
that your advice to me?
yeah, if she, I think it'll build some character. It'll help you take care of that manicure. When you paying for it, you be careful. You know.
Right. Well, I'm gonna tell her. I'm gonna be like, "Well, Miss Amber said,"
You see, you see.
because I don't do, I do my own nails. I do my own. I mean, I'll do some pedicures in the summertime, because it gets rough out there. But mostly, I take care of my own personal care stuff like that. But for her birthday, the girlfriend, I got the girlfriends, and we went to this place to make like candles. You can make your
Oh,
custom
nice,
candle, and they did
nice.
that. And then we took them to get manicures, and then I didn't pay for pedicures. I got one, but I didn't pay for one for the children. The children just got their nails done. Was I supposed to pay for? No. Anyway, I'm sorry, y'all. Y'all know that this is And then we went to go get henna. But so because of that, I got a manicure. But I'm really feeling like I like this manicure in a way that I haven't liked them before. And I'm like, do I want to start getting manicures? But then I feel like there's a whole upcoming recession again, right? And inflation. And does it make sense for me to do that kind of thing? So I'm thinking about it.
I mean, well, I live my best irresponsible life. I'm on a every 3 weeks, every third Friday at 8 o'clock. I'm in the chair, getting my nails done. Because I have a complex about my fingers. I feel like my fingers look like them little smokies that come in the pig in the blankets at the donut shop. And so I feel like
Yeah.
when I don't have nails on, that's what my fingers look like, the little smokies in the donut pig in the blankets. So I like to keep a little nails on to deep pig in the blanket my fingers. So I am in the chair every 3 weeks.
Well, hopefully this season we can get us an update on sort of the financial state of Black America, and maybe that will
Yes.
help us to all. Again, we can't change the whole state of Black American economics through our nails, but individually here and there, we can make some better
We can
decisions,
hold
and
what
so
we
should
got.
I
We
make
can
some
hold
better
what we got.
decisions?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'm a think about if I want to, maybe just every now and again I'll go and do it because I think I did like it.
I think live your best life. Live your best life. You know.
Is that's what a millennial would say, right? Y'all very much
Exactly.
into
I
YOLO.
listen. I am, but YOLO has almost came back to bite me. Okay, because I thought I was gonna live my best life this summer. Okay, so I'm gonna tell y'all, we had a vacation plan because, like Erica, we have been taking it easy during the pandemic, and so this was going to be our first vacation with our whole family because y'all know I remarried and now have 624 kids. And so this was going to be our first
But
vacation with
tell people, how
everybody.
many of y'all was it though on this vacation, though, Amber?
Seven, y'all. Seven. So, and let me tell y'all how cold blooded it is. The resort we went to, they had a family suite. Y'all, guess how many people's the family suite can fit? Six. So we had to buy a whole nother hotel room because we was one person over the limit. We had too many people, but that worked out fine because we put all them kids in one room, and me and my husband had another one. But I almost didn't get to go on my vacation because
Why not, Amber? What
so we
what
had our
happened again?
vacation planned for the first week of August. So in like April, I said, you know what? I'm gonna run down here and give me a little liposuction on my thighs, okay? Y'all y'all know I had gastric bypass. What is it now? 14 years ago coming up, and so I always had planned to have all of these surgeries to take excess skin off, blah blah blah. So I said, well, listen, sis, it's time to get the fourth skin removal, the fourth
See,
little
that's what happens. They
liposuction.
they get a new husband and then they want to run up his
Okay,
tab, getting the.
okay. It was going to be a hot girl summer on somebody else's credit card. Baby, that's the best. That's the best of both worlds. So I said, I'm going to run down here and give me a little liposuction. I scheduled it on a Thursday. I was going to go back to work that Monday, back like I never left. And so I had my surgery on June 16th. And now I never quite started feeling good. Like I never, usually after these surgeries, I bounce back. Okay. I done had surgery and moved, had surgery and got job interviews. So I was like, I don't feel well. like something is not right. And it kept going for a couple of weeks. And so by the end of June, I'm like running fevers. I'm passing out between work meetings. And I'm like, perhaps I should go
And
to the
see, Amber,
doctor.
I didn't know that it went on for a couple of weeks. You were having this happen, and
Yes, but I did go back to the doctor and he was just like, "Oh, let me give you some medicine." So I did. I went back to my surgeon. So and he put me on a stronger antibiotic, but he didn't really look at me or whatever. I went back twice actually. So by the end of June,
he did
I'm
not look at your incision. He did
no
not
ma'am.
examine your incision.
No ma'am. He looked at them visually, but I didn't have like a invasive or deeper exam. No, I didn't.
Okay. Okay.
So by the end of June, I passed out again. And I'm like, probably I should take my temperature. So take my temperature and it's 103 degrees. And I'm like, okay, I got one more work meeting. I'm gonna have to go to, I'm gonna do my meeting and then I'm gonna go to the doctor.
Y'all,
Okay.
do you see why grind culture ain't doing y'all no favors?
Yes,
Do you see?
real talk. Real talk. So I did my work meeting and then I was like, okay, I'm gonna make a pan of spaghetti for my kids. Then I'm going to go to the doctor. So I try to make the spaghetti, but I pass out. So then I wake up and then I'm like, okay, I gotta go. So I go
Amber,
into the
I had no idea this happened. Are you serious?
yes,
You're
girl,
passed out in
yes.
your kitchen with a
I
pot
didn't
of
pass
spaghetti on
out
the
in my kitchen, but once I put the pasta pot on the stove, my little Dutch oven, it was so heavy. I came in my room to sit down because I was out of breath, like just lifting the water pot to boil the noodles. And when I sat down, I just kind of woke up like maybe 15 to 20 minutes later, and it was that gray area was like, what happened? Like what was going on? The water was boiling down, it had boiled like halfway down, and so then I was like, I gotta go. So I went to the doctor and thank the Lord, y'all. I had, for the first time in my life, a black doctor in the ER. And she looks at me and she's like, "We need to get a CT scan of your leg." Turns out I have 26 centimeters of cellulitis and infection in my surgical wound. They test me a couple of days later. I have MRSA. Um, I forgot what it stands for. Something about, resistant staph. It's like a very resistant form of staph that does not respond to penicillin. And so I was in the hospital for 11 days. They had to reopen my wound, let the infection out. I had to get a blood transfusion. It was crazy. I mean, and they were like, "Sis, if you hadn't come today, you was like on your way to the heavenly corral, okay? Like you was on your way out of here because this MRSA was creeping through your body." So thank God that did not come to be. But I was also worried because I thought I was gonna have to cancel my vacation, y'all. I text Erica and Delana a picture.
Amber. Let
What?
wait, 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 wait. Let's stop. Let's
Listen,
stop. I just want you to recognize, and I want y'all to see how this looks in real time because Amber is one of these work no matter what people, work during labor, work during a stroke, literally all these things, right? But I want y'all to see what can happen. When she says she almost died, that is not hyperbolic.
no,
She almost died. And she still, after that and after other times when she's almost died, because this isn't the first time,
that's
she's
true.
still doing it. And I'm just saying, y'all, we not gonna keep coming back.
You right. Now that's a
And
word right there. That's a
Amber, this
word.
is not a word just for you, but anybody. Y'all, there's a lot of stuff out there, and I know that we have to work. Like everybody know. Amber and I were just talking about grocery prices before we got on here. We know that people have to work, right? But y'all, you can't work when you're dead. Like it. And Amber, I just did not know this was going on that long before you went to the hospital. And
Yeah.
anyway,
And you know what's so crazy? It's to the point that Erica's making, you normalize these things. Because I remember I got out of the hospital um, on a Monday. And so, Erica Delana would texting me the next day, like, "Oh, how are you? We know you got discharged." And I was like, "I'm great. I'm at work." And they were like, "No, you're not at work because you just got discharged yesterday." And I was like, "Well, I have to come in. I had an intern started." And so we had a whole conversation about it. And I didn't even process that maybe there was something not okay about me going to work the day after I got discharged from the hospital until somebody else said it to me. And so it is true. We do take in these messages and we internalize them and we normalize them. And it's so interesting because just now, like my whole focus while I was in the hospital, I worked all 10 days because I went in right before the 4th. And so by that Tuesday, to be honest, I was feeling better. I had felt so bad for like the 2 weeks before. So that 3 days of round the clock antibiotics, they had opened up my incision at one point over the long weekend and let some of the infection out. So I was like, oh, I can definitely lay in the bed and laptop on this because I feel the best I felt in 2 weeks. But it was just even the fact that that was a thought. That's a problem, right? Like I'm literally, I didn't even tell nobody at my job I was in the hospital except my paralegal. Nobody else knew. I was just working the whole time.
11 days in the hospital, almost died, and she didn't tell anybody.
I didn't tell. This is the first time I've said anything publicly. Like I have not told really not even all my like my close friends. Like I really didn't tell nobody. I didn't really say nothing. Um, yeah, I don't, and it's so weird because it's just now hitting me. Like you go 100 miles an hour, and I remember when we got back from Mexico, I told my husband, I'm like, it's just sort of now sinking in. Like, dang, sis, like really for the third time in your 37 years, you was knocking on death's door, okay? And it finally hit me like a many weeks later because you just keep going. I'm like, oh, I'm not. I remember telling the plastic surgeon who reopened my incision, like this lady got my leg open. I literally have a hole like this big in my leg, and I'm like, ma'am, I'm going on vacation. So you need to do whatever you need to do because this hole got to be going August 1st. And I'm talking like I'm not under any anesthesia. When she opened up my incision the second time, she did it bedside. I was on a work call. When I got off my work call, I was like, lady, I appreciate everything you're doing for me, but this hole got to be gone August 1st because I'm getting on the plane with my children and my husband to go to Mexico. And I just didn't even, I was just going. Like, I just got to go on vacation. I got to go because I don't want to cancel my kids' trips. And my husband was very clear. He was not taking NWA on vacation without me. He was like, if you don't go, we don't go because I'm not going on vacation by myself with them. And I'm like, don't be like that. They not that bad, Freddie. They not that bad. So I felt a lot of pressure.
And when Erica had COVID, because I read the articles and people are like, long COVID can happen sometimes when people just don't take the proper time to rest. I laid in my bed the whole time and didn't do anything. Okay. The children brought me food and like when I tell you I stayed in my bed and watched TV and did nothing because I was like, I'm going to rest. I'm going to drink these liquids. I'm going to take these vitamins and because I don't want no trouble.
Okay.
So, mm-mm.
Yeah. And I've
Me and
learned.
you different.
Yeah. And
Amber, you
I
ain't
just,
learned nothing. You ain't
I'm
learned nothing, Amber.
trying. Yes, I am. I'm trying. Like my goal now is at 6 o'clock every night. I turn my work phone off. I'm like, whatever pops off after 6 o'clock, it can be handled at 9. I turn it off now. I think that I saw a meme once that said, um, perfectionist kids with like anxiety who make all A's grow up to be lawyers. And it's like, it's true. Like, I have been that way my entire life. And undoing that very unhealthy, it's abusive to yourself, really. Like, I didn't use a pencil eraser, y'all. I ain't never told nobody this, my therapist. I ain't use a pencil eraser until 6th grade. Like, if I used to mess up on my papers at school, I would start all over because I didn't like how erasers left that little pink shadow on my papers. That made my work feel sloppy. And I would start all over. Like, even if I was like almost done, I did not want that on my papers. And I definitely have had that tendency to try to be perfect my entire life and keep going and push through and push out product that is excellent and be excellent. And I have been doing and not being. And I am trying very hard to discard that unhealthy mentality because it does not serve you well when you get older. It didn't really serve me well then. I mean, it was just kind of, yeah.
No, and this is what we always talk about, how the systems conspire to do things to us. And
Mm-hmm.
so you're a perfect candidate for rise and grind and for rugged individualism. You are a poster child for all of that. But at the end of the day, it does not serve you well. So, brokers, if y'all don't take nothing else away, seriously, rest
Mm-hmm.
and do not sacrifice yourselves for this. For what?
No.
So, I mean, and again, the fact that you're trying to push through to get on vacation is also problematic, but I'm gonna just let you make it because, okay, you had almost died. And so I know you wanted some sunshine. That's fine.
And I
So, did
went. I went, and I did have a my hole in my leg was mostly sewn up. I had to keep it bandaged. I couldn't swim. You know, I couldn't really do. I didn't get to zip line, but I ain't gonna lie, Jesus, no, I wasn't ever gonna zip line. So that was it. But I did, you know, sit around the pool. I had a lot of sweet, sugary drinks. You know, I danced a lot, and it was just cool to disconnect. And you know, I'm the vacation planner in our family, so like just everybody in their matching shirts and you know, seeing everything come to fruition, it was very gratifying for me. I mean, that's so funny. My kids make that exact sigh when they're required to put their airport shirts on, their, you know, off the resort
well, I mean,
shirts.
if I had that many children, I might have to put them in shirts too to, keep
Facts,
track of them.
facts, facts.
It's like, here's my here's me admitting that I watched this show called Doubling Down with the Doricos with the black family with 14 children. And whenever they travel, they have on the same shirt. But you have 14 kids. So,
Yes,
and
yes,
you have almost 14 kids. So I see why y'all have the matching t shirts. It
yes,
makes sense.
yes. And it's
On the
just, you
school
know,
field trips, they put all the children in the same shirt to keep track of them.
you gotta, you know, I for a long time I didn't understand why our less melanated counterparts put their kids on them leashes, but I get it now. I don't do it, but I
The
get
views expressed by Amber Sams are not those of Erica Brown.
I'm just saying. I mean, because there was a couple of times at the airport, I'm like Benjamin Booker. I mean, he's 6 years old. I just needed, if I just had could have had a leash. I'm like, you cannot run off from the group, son, because you will get lost, and mommy and daddy will go to jail. Okay, so that can't happen. So please park your little butt right here. I'm just saying, a lot of things you judge before you have kids, you become a lot more empathetic and sympathetic once you have
You should not be empathetic of leashes on children or anyway. Let's so you had your family trip and I had my family trip. And then so my sister made the mistake of telling me one day, she was like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to this wedding in Zanzibar. And I was like, what'd you say now? I was like, you going where? She's like, yeah, we have some her husband. She's like, oh, he has some family that's getting married out there. And I was like, well, we all family now. So I invited myself and my husband to go to these people's wedding, Amber. So I did not know them at all.
it's the
And
African American urge. We're talking about all the whole you know, spectrum of blackness. You know, the grind and then the audacity. I love it.
look,
I
look.
love it.
And I said, well, just send me. I said, well, send me the information. And so they had like an Evite, right? Why did I go on the Evite and RSVP to a wedding where I don't know the people? I did. So I
And you
went,
wasn't invited. Don't leave that part out. That lady RSVP to a wedding she was not invited to.
was not invited to, did not know anybody. Okay. In Zanzibar. So and I kept not knowing if I wanted to go or, all these things and COVID and everything. And honestly, I'm not gonna even lie. I was glad I had just got COVID because I was like, oh, I can go on my trip and feel good. I'm not about to get COVID and it's gonna be fine on that front. So child, my husband and I get ourselves, and of course, Zanzibar is very expensive, like getting over there, right? Girl, I didn't use my miles. I was like, thank God for miles, and I didn't have to pay for these plane tickets.
Oh, hallelujah.
So yes, child. So we get the miles, and the way that it works on the way there, it actually wasn't too bad. We go from Dallas to Doha, Qatar, from Doha to Zanzibar. So it was one stop, right?
Nice.
Now it's 14 hours to get to Doha, but whatever. So we get to Doha, and let me tell you, this is the nicest airport I've never been to in my life, Amber. And I have lived in other countries around the world. I have traveled extensively. This is the nicest airport your girl has ever been to. And my husband was telling me that when he went into the bathroom, that there was an attendant who escorts you to the stall, wipes the seat down, and then leaves you to it. And I
And
was
this is
like,
the
they didn't.
regular airport, not the like the lounge for the VIP people. This just the
No,
regular airport.
no, I didn't have no. I was on a coach ticket. I didn't have no
Oh,
access to a lounge.
oh
No.
wow.
Yes. And they didn't do that in the ladies' room. There were attendants, but they didn't have that level of service. But it's the nicest airport and bathroom I've ever been into in my life. Anyway, so we finally get to Zanzibar, and we were at a lovely resort. And it's so different because like it's not Americanized, and it's like everything is very virgin and just
Mm-hmm.
very nice, and it's so rocky on the water, and it wasn't super hot, and it was just
Oh, that's
great.
nice.
Again, yeah. And then we got to go to the wedding that was at a different resort, and they had so much food at this wedding, Amber, and they had all traditional foods, and it was so delicious, and there was just so much stuff there, and I learned about all these different kind of foods and ate all these things. I am going to be open about the fact that I was culturally ignorant in that, because we're in the pandemic, I cannot do the eating with my hand thing. That's just I just I can't. I have to be at home, and then I will do that, but I can't just be out. And so I did feel bad about that, because that's just a part of what you do. And I was like, I would like a
Yeah.
fork, please.
Yeah.
So I know y'all, please forgive me for being ignorant, but the pandemic and the germs and all, I just can't do. I couldn't do it.
I
But it
love the
was
fact
it was
that it
lovely.
was very, you know, accepted to do it at a nice event. I would assume that even in cultures, and that's my ugly American ignorance because I'm not well traveled. I would assume that even in cultures where you eat with your hands, like at like special events, they would have silver. So I love the fact that it's still very connected to who they are, even when we're celebrating and fancy. I love it.
They had both options, right? Like, so I wasn't like the only person that was like, "Can I have a fork, please?" Like, they had forks all around, but there were still several people who are like, this is how we do." And I was like, I'm gonna let y'all have that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, because this the pandemic got your girl still on high alert for some things, but it was lovely. They had like this fire artist there doing tricks and stuff with fire at the wedding. So that was great, and the music was good. It was like all 90s hip hop and R&B.
Come on.
Yeah, because the mother of the groom is like my age, so it was like all the things. But it was a lovely wedding. I was so glad to be able to get to go and see that. So we had that was the delicious parts of the vacation, was that me and my boo got to be on a vacation in a faraway land.
Listen, I love it. Everybody ain't able to just hop on a plane and go to Zamunda, but I'm here for it. She was at the palace in Zamunda, wedding it up. I love it. I love it. I love
Y'all,
it.
y'all, it was on point. So I don't want anybody to think, yeah, it was,
And I
it
do
was,
just want to
it was
say
on
this
point.
before we move on, but this is the kind of stuff that Black people do. Because right before we got on here, we was talking about groceries. Because I told Erica, I'm gonna make my husband some gumbo because the weather done cooled down and he keep getting on my nerves about it. And I told her, I said, girl, I had to pay $70 for some crabs. And she's talking about, oh, everybody ain't able. And she done flew to the west side of Wakanda to a wedding at a resort. And then she gonna make fun of me because I went and bought some crabs so I can make my man a bowl of meat soup. But that's that's what Black people do.
Well, really, what I was doing is I was trying to connect with the new side of my family. I told you I have some new family now. And I was really going because we're all family. And I wanted to get to know them and understand more about their culture. And so, really, this was a cultural exchange. Okay. This was less that and more of a, I have some new cousins and I wanted to meet them, and I did. I'm glad I
So
did.
y'all, when Donald Trump Isha get wrote up, get brought in for her tax charges because she done wrote this off as a cultural exchange, I just want y'all to know y'all done heard it on Brokish first. She's talking about it's a cultural exchange. She done went to Wakanda for a wedding. I love it. I love it. But I couldn't resist. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I figured you would be less offended if I said Donald Trump Isha than if I had said Barack Obama Isha.
You know, I can't stand either one of them. So,
Oh boy.
like,
Oh,
anyway, so and Amber, my latest news, my biggest news, which I've talked about a little bit before, but not like this, is your girl is a whole student again.
Hercules. I
Yes.
love it. I love it. And you
Yes.
know, and a
So
student and a what?
I'm a student and a graduate assistant. So your girl has herself another job. She is going to be a graduate assistant. I have a couple of classes that I'm going to be working with. And I have a friend who is a professor and a PhD. And I was talking to her and I said, well, I just want to commit to one semester. I just want to see how it goes. She said, well, I want you to commit to a year and see how the whole year goes. And so maybe I'm going to do that. Maybe I'm going to commit to a year. Y'all don't be surprised if I come back on here and tell y'all how I quit school and it did not work out. Don't be surprised if that happens. That's okay. But I'm going to commit to a year and see how this sociology thing goes.
We not committing to a year. We got a burgeoning doctor on our hand, okay? And so my
No,
personal
we already
goal
have a
is,
doctor of jurisprudence, and that's
oh girl,
good, and
that's not the
that's
same.
all we
Mm-mm.
need. So
I
yeah.
take my role as Joe Clark very serious. We are going to get Erica past the minimum basic skills test, okay? And she is going to know the school song in English and in Spanish. All right, amen, amen.
So y'all, please, pray for me, whatever you do, whoever you're connecting with on a different level, plane, send that energy my way. I'm gonna need it. I have literally have not been in school, Amber, since 2002. It has been 20 years since your girl's been in school.
But it's
So
like
it's been
riding
a
a
long
bike,
time.
right? It's gonna come back to you.
Uh, it's actually not like riding a bike because when I was in school, you went to class, there was a lecture, you wrote some physical papers, or you like, did we even type on back? Okay, yeah, we typed. Okay, you typed it, but you had to print it out and hand it in. Okay, like there was a box where you put your stuff, you submitted your stuff, a box. This is before you would even email your work.
No, that's not true. Because I was in high school. You could email papers in 2002.
And that was when I was in grad school. When I was in undergrad, Amber, you did not do that.
Well, no, no. But I'm just saying in 2002 you could. Because
Okay, yes. But in
okay.
1994 through 7, you had a box and you put your work in the box for the teacher. Okay.
Yes.
Anyway, but now everything, of course, is online. And some of my classes are online. There is zero lecture. And so you are just talking through the discussion board and reading and all that stuff. So that is actually new for me. So we'll see.
Well, I think the newness is part of the excitement of the journey. You know, you're doing something literally you haven't done before. And I am so happy for you. I am so excited. And I really do think you are going to surprise yourself with how well you do, both as a GA and as a student. Because I think when you're one of those people, you have a natural curiosity. I mean, hello, Exhibit A, you're doing a podcast, an educational based podcast. And I think those things will serve you well. I think you're going to surprise yourself with how well you do.
Well, thank you, and I hope so. But so hopefully, y'all, we keep having brokish. Hopefully, this grad school life does not drain everything that I have, and I'm like, Amber, I can't do it. I don't have time. Hopefully, that does not happen. Because let me tell y'all what Erica's not going to do. Erica's not going to overextend herself in life. Erica and Amber are different. We're gonna have some very clear boundaries, and so we're gonna see how it goes.
I was prophesying. See, she thought I was making a mistake. When I was prophesying about season 10, I was prophesying. Okay? I was not making a mistake. That was a prophecy.
Okay,
So we
okay,
gonna
that was a
she
prophecy.
gonna be all right. She gonna be
Okay. So,
all right.
Amber, let's talk a little bit about what we have coming up in season 7. I'm excited about you doing a little Brokerage University. What you gonna do for the people?
I'm excited as well. I think that our current events, our state of affairs demands we sort of take a civics refresher. You know what I mean? And I think that is really important as we advocate for ourselves, both on an individual level and collectively as a people, that we have to understand the framework that we exist inside of. And one of the things I was telling Erica when we were talking yesterday is that it's very clear to me that some of the most influential voices in our community either are
Uh oh, are you gonna be
woefully,
naming names?
I'm not, I'm the spirit of the Lord is upon me today.
Okay,
So
okay.
I'm gonna be nice, but they're either woefully ignorant or willfully obtuse, because the ways that they talk about um, how we need to work inside the system to affect change in the system makes it very clear that there is either a lack of understanding or a gross overlooking of how this system was built and how it was designed to work. And so, one of the things I'm really excited about this season is sort of going back to the basics, a very remixed schoolhouse rocks, talking about, what our Constitution is, the historical context in which it came to be, how that impacts the three branches of government, the limitations that were expressly placed on those branches of government, and most importantly, why those limitations were placed there and who those limitations were designed to serve. Because I think it's very important for us to know that, because I think part of the frustration that a lot of people have is that, well, I'm out here, I'm voting, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and ain't nothing happening. And it's like, well, there's a reason for that. There is a very express reason for that. And I
Are you
think if
gonna
we
tell us
know,
about the reason when you give us our
oh,
civics
yeah,
lesson?
oh, yeah. And we're going to talk about why we need to perhaps redirect our efforts and be doing some things, that we're not doing and focusing on some areas that we're not focusing on. So I'm very excited about that.
Okay, come through, Professor Amber. Now y'all know we're still going to be talking about money because that's the foundation of Brokish, right? We Brokish started with us talking about the state of economic affairs in Black America and how we are broke. And then we evolved into talking about all of the broken systems that are working against us. But certainly we're going to talk about money. But in terms of broken systems, we're going to talk more about healthcare. Today was, I guess, an unexpected, unanticipated preview of us talking about some healthcare issues that, of course, still exist and that we are harmed by as Black Americans in this country. And of course, also because, we still like in a pandemic again, COVID, monkeypox, polio. Who knows what the next thing is? And honestly, I don't know what else we're going to talk about necessarily, Amber. So, we get together and plan, and sometimes we stay with the plan, and sometimes we deviate from the plan. But, brokers, if y'all got some things y'all want us to talk about too, please let us know.
That's part of the homework. Oh my gosh, that's a perfect segue. So the first part of homework is catch up. We do this every year. Get yourselves caught up. If you missed part of season 6, get on the train so you can be oriented to what we're doing in season 7. And then that is the other part of the homework. We want to know what you all want to hear about. And so if you have topic suggestions, ideas of things that you think Brokish should talk about, hop on social media and let us know. Get on Brokish Podcast on Instagram, get on the Brokish page on Facebook, get on Brokish on Twitter, and tweet us, IG us, Facebook us. Let us know what you all want to talk about, because we really do this to try to be helpful and to try to inform and empower. And so, to the extent things are at the top of mind for y'all, let us know and we will be happy to explore it.
Yes, because we love learning right alongside y'all. So if there's something, let us know. Brokers, like I talked about, every time we start this new season, I'm just sort of thinking to myself, is there really a place for brokish in the world still? Or are we just another one of the hundreds of thousands of podcasts where people get on here and just say any old thing? And then I think about who we are at our heart and what we are trying to do. And that's not it, right? We're not trying to get in here and just get in front of you and say any old thing. But that doesn't mean that there aren't times that we do want to quit. But there are just so many broken systems in this nation. And there isn't room for us to run away. And we have to continue to shed a light on those things that we see that are harming us. And so, even though it's hard sometimes, the thing that keeps us going is when people do send us messages and when they tell us that they like the show. So if y'all can send us prayers and good thoughts and vibes and positive energy as we endeavor to keep making a show that's worthy of you, the brokers. So thanks for tuning in, and we look forward to catching up with you on the newest season of Brokish.